The meeting's not gonna be that long, so.
We'll call the Apopka CRA meeting to order. Commissioner Smith, will you give us the prayer and the pledge, please, sir?
Our Father, our God, we come once again before your presence, asking our Father you continue to lead, guide, and direct us as we take care of the business of this city. Oh God, we will be good stewards of the resources you've given us. Bless all these in attendance today. In thy Son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Should have a set of minutes. Any changes, subtractions, additions? Otherwise, look for a motion to approve the.
Where's the,
I didn't see any minutes.
No.
There's no minutes.
There's no minutes.
There's
Okay.
no minutes.
All right. Public comment, we'll put that to the end. We'll go ahead and just jump right into discussion. Well, let's go to Cliff. Cliff, you want to give us the latest, greatest on the CRA bill and where it lays as we speak today.
I am happy to do it if you just give me a minute to find it, because I didn't know that was going to be the first thing on the agenda. I can do it from memory, but I'd rather do it specifically from what I had in my notes. So let me see if I can find it real quick. All right. Well, listen, I'll be simple. Here's the deal. First of all, this changes hourly. It could have changed since I gave the same update this morning at Fort Myers. But what happened is the Senate and the House are at odds. The Senate has a bill 1290, I think it is, that is much less onerous. It preserves CRAs in much the same way we know them. It does put additional explicit restrictions on spending, none of which would really affect what Apopka is doing. And it is a much more CRA-friendly version. The House, on the other hand, yesterday late passed or withdrew or put in an amended bill, which was a complete strike through, as described by Ryan Matthews, our lobbyist, basically saying we're going back to the drawing board, and what's coming back is going to be much worse than what we've already seen. So they are literally at polar opposites. I am told through the lobbyist report that the Senate is holding strong and the House is showing that this bill is going to be important to them because they've tacked into it some other things that are priorities to the Senate and put them all in one package. So it's like a poison pill. If you don't vote for this bill with this other stuff, you're not going to get the stuff you want as well. So this is the game that's being played. To the extent there's any good news, what Mr. Matthews said is that they're running out of time. And so if they can't get something done in the next 2 weeks, meaning the rest of this week and next week, it might not happen. But he also said they're expecting at maybe even 2 special sessions where this could be the priority. And because next week, I think it's next week, is I mentioned previously the horse trading time where the Senate trades something with the House on their priorities list. That's always a possibility as well, to see what outcome is there. Our hope is that the Senate will hold fast. Our information is that there is significant and maybe sufficient opposition in the Senate to the more draconian House bill from a number of people who should know, and that it won't get through. But again, you never say never in this biz. So this morning at Fort Myers, we had the same discussions that we're going to be having today about, okay, what can we do? How do we do it? How do we go forward, and so forth? And I said, well, if they pass the version that originally was on the table or something like that and signed, there's nothing to do. We're well past that cow being out of the barn. But if not, what we do is we make sure that we're not spending in a way that causes us to be the headache. The version that the Senate put out is very much what I wrote for them. And the reason I say that is because when we first got wind of this, we immediately huddled the FRA and the people, that President, myself, our lobbyist, and said, okay, what can we do? And I spent a day coming up with a bill that is restrictive, but not crippling. And it's like I said, it puts specific limitations so that no one can even argue with me. Although a lot of people like to, I tell them you can't do this and they want to argue, but it'll say, no, you can't spend money on hotels, for example. No, you can't spend money on parades or fill in the blank of these things. So it'll be some of that. And for the most part, it's stuff that wouldn't affect us here at all. I'm hopeful that that'll be the one. But again, there's no telling. The best thing we have going for us are those that are our allies are strong allies, and they happen to be in the right party right now. So they've seen what CRAs can do, and they seem to be, at least momentarily, of the belief that it's not good to throw out the whole bunch of apples because you have a couple of bad ones in South Florida. And I'm crossing my fingers that they continue to think that way. So that's the latest and the greatest. But again, there's a vote coming up on Friday. It could be a wholly different thing by Friday.
Thank you, Cliff. And I printed for everybody the legislative alert that the League of Cities just put out today. So just for reference, but like Cliff said, tomorrow could be a completely different bill. All right, now Bobby, come on up and lead us through.
Bobby Howell, Interim Executive Director of the CRA. In response to last week's workshop, this is a continuation. Cliff kind of talked about the high points of what's going on with the bill going through the legislature right now. Last week, this board opted to have another workshop to solicit additional public input related to proposed projects that are could come down the pipeline if the legislation passes. Purpose of this meeting tonight is to finalize the list for the incorporation into the CRA budget. This is the list that we came up with from last week. The gold stars, as discussed, there's a decision at the April 16th meeting. That's the residential facade repair grant program. It looks like that's for $305,000. The 2 stars means that this was presented at the last week's meeting. Signal and pedestrian upgrades, 5th Street and Central Avenue, that's design. $77,658. Pedestrian upgrades at 5th Street and Park Avenue, that's construction. That is a kind of dangerous intersection as a pedestrian try and walk across. There is no pedestrian signals, and that would include mast arms for that. That's $242,760. Downtown Apopka Trail Central Avenue portion design, this was presented last week, $125,000. Upgrades to Alonzo Williams Park, a new pavilion, $83,713. Basketball courts, 2 rebuilding of those, $135,000. The Apopka Action Sports amenity upgrades, also known as the skate park pump track, $242,600. Includes a new pavilion, artificial turf, ADA parking space with sidewalk, water fountain, and picnic tables. Amenities to Edwards Field included pickleball courts, 2 basketball courts, and bike repair stands, $3,000 for those, and then water fountains, 4 of those, and then ADA parking additions there as well. One thing, and then beautification, sod, and fencing, I believe that was removed from consideration, and that money was allocated to the residential renovation assistance program. Gas lamps installation, 10 of those on 5th Street, $70,000. Downtown Park, that's been presented to the CRA board before, at $50,000. That was in the budget for this year's CRA. Pocket Park at 8th and Highland, $105,000. Land acquisition for the expansion of Alonzo Williams Park Quest properties, that's put in at $400,000. Land acquisition at Kitland Nelson Park at $80,000. We have, at least I've not heard back from those property owners for the Kitland Nelson Park expansion. Station Street lighting, this was presented last week, $15,000. I believe that was by Commissioner Moore. Demolition of 8th and Highland Maintenance Complex, $100,000. 3 historical markers, $15,000. Resurfacing of Station Street, $300,000. Land acquisition, downtown Triangle property, and I'll show where that location, and then Duke property. So this is the plans for the 5th Street and 5th and Park pedestrian upgrades and mast arm lighting. That's a vital improvement. This is the map of the trail. The Central Avenue portion is the part in blue right here, and then the completion is the purple right there. This is the rebuilding of the Alonzo Williams Park basketball courts, the 2020 by 28 pavilion. Acquisition of property, it's the orange piece. It looks like a backwards L if you look at it from another way, or an L if you're looking at it at this point. This is the Action Sports Park upgrades. This is a map, shows where all it's going to be. Property acquisition, talked about at Kitland Nelson Park. Today, we've not heard back from those individuals, but this is the renovated open field, but the fencing has been removed from consideration per last week. This is the area for the City Hall Park upgrade area, little pocket park. This is the 8th and Highland Street property with the buildings on it right here. This is the plat. This is the downtown Triangle property. It is located at the corner of, if you'd say, the southeast corner of 6th and Park. It is a cutout. There's a little insurance office here, I believe. It's a vacant piece of property. There was some type of structure there. I've been told probably 7, 8 years ago. And then there's a little cutout there for that. That property is, I think it's been listed for $305,000. When I spoke with the listing agent, they've received some offers, but they've been kind of low offers that the owners haven't even entertained. And then this is the Duke property.
Go back just, Bobby, just
Yes.
the little corner, the number 124 is the piece we had that came through looking for rezoning for a food truck. They got, I was going to say swindled by the real estate agent, but that's the little piece there that, obviously there's not much they can do with that. And
Was
if we
that
could-
that couple that came once?
yes,
today?
correct, correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
this-
I mean, maybe we could get that one as well. Then that would give you that would clean that whole area up.
yeah, it would incorporate the
Yeah.
whole thing with
So
the
I just wanna
exception
let-
of
yeah.
that. Mm-hmm.
I haven't reached out to them, but just
Yeah.
be aware
That was
that's
that.
yeah, yeah.
That was a few months ago.
That was
And-
last
And
year.
what
So
what would we do on that triangle?
the city would buy it and maybe rent it out, build a
Parking
facility
and-
there, parking.
Yeah,
It's you say it's currently listed now for 300,000.
Yeah, there's a sign. I spoke with the agent. It was, I believe, $305,000. I believe the mayor spoke with her as well and follow up on that. They, like I said, they received some lowball offers according to them, and so
But it's still active.
it's
the
still
market.
listed and active. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And is there any cleanup required on that property? Because isn't that where the laundromat was?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is there any cleanup required on that property? Because I believe that's where the laundromat was.
It's within the CRA, which is a total brownfield, so it'd be subject to that cleanup. Yes. And then this is the Duke property, right here off of 8th and Forest. The West Orange Trail goes next to it. So, with that, discuss about what projects you guys want to incorporate in the budget. We'll look for discussion and direction.
okay.
Can you put back up the list of properties? Again? Thank you. Oh, well.
I got Excel for
Okay. Okay.
you. Yes. So this will show the list, and as we go down the list, if we agree to something, it will come off of that total that says available funding.
Your top number that you say available funds.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through how you got to that number, please.
Okay, and I do have information for that. Hold on a minute. This thing does, let me see. If it let me click to my other tab. There we go. The available funding in the budget is $4,471,029. Obligated as of today is about $131,000.
Do you have a breakdown of that 131?
It was, yes, it's on, yes,
It's in-
I can show you, it's the detail. And for the downtown Apopka Trail, that's, under construction, you take that off, so.
Okay. Yeah,
That's what
and
it's
that was
coming
going to be my question as well.
So
Walk us through the 131 now, please.
Okay, well, I got it. So once everything in red here, the 85,000 for the community officer, the police program that we have,
Mhm.
6,000 is for the audit, And this is the list that you've had before. 951 for that Florida Redevelopment Association conference that they attended. Building Code Assistance Program, they had spent 5366 to date. And for this program here, which is which one? Facade renovation program, they had spent 27,325. The special district state mandated fee that must be paid 175. Membership 995 for that same conference just mentioned. And 5909, that was related to the skate pump park.
So this was reallocated funds. So the last meeting, these funds weren't spent, correct? Because they say reallocated. Because that 5,909 wasn't. It wasn't. I guess I'm just a little.
It was
trying to
there.
understand
It was there.
It was there, but it wasn't taken away from the. If you go back to that was up for discussion last time. The 5,900.
That's already done. It's
So
not.
they've already
Yeah,
done.
yeah, that's done. That was a change order. That's for the skate. See the skate pump track, park and pump track. That was a change order on that. Those funds have been expended. That's why I highlight them in red to show you. And when I came to the podium the last time and I said that we've already expended and obligated 131,000, that's what that is.
Okay.
And those 131,000 are those numbers I just shared with you.
Got it. Okay. It just
Okay.
wasn't great last time. Got
So
it. Okay.
the I guess annual conference, Attorney Shepard, you had just made a reference that we can't pay for hotels and things of that nature out of CRA funds.
It's a different thing. That was hotels, like giving CRA dollars to somebody to build a hotel. That's what we're talking about. So, as an example, some cities have TIF rebate programs. You come here and build something we want, and we will rebate you a portion of the increased TIF created by your project. And so essentially that becomes a way to add to the attraction of doing the project, because instead of you paying much higher taxes on your new hotel, you're paying next to nothing because 90%, maybe 95% is being rebated back to you. And so you have not only a sweet deal from a standpoint of finance, you have an ongoing sweet deal because you can outcompete the next guy because they're not paying, you're paying proper.
Okay, I understand. So it's not for travel and
no.
things of that nature.
No.
It's exclusively to the hotel
Correct.
provider or the developer themselves. And this is then for Mr. Sherman, thank you for that. I guess for that, the annual conference itself, as well as the annual membership, if this is going away this year effectively for us, I mean, it's not, but it is, those funds aren't necessary for us.
They've already spent them. This is what I'm saying. That's why we can't reallocate something that's already obligated or expended.
So those specifically have already been spent.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why they're in red. They're not available to reallocate.
Okay.
And everything in red represents the 131.
Got that. Okay.
Okay. And the only project we took off, like we talked last time, was the downtown Apopka Trail. So that leaves a remaining balance of $1,933,721. And
sorry.
go for it. No.
Just while we're on it, I don't. The downtown trail itself, that $2.4 million. That's to complete the entirety of the trail.
Yes. Right.
That's to complete the section that's ongoing right now, down Hawthorne, Michael Gladden, and then it's to complete the section on 6th Street from Station Street to, we're trying to get it to South Highland. We have some easement issues beyond Highland, so that it doesn't look like we're going to be able to resolve. We've kind of looked into that again this week leading up to the meeting. So there could be a little bit of extra funds there that we could look to reallocate.
Okay, but that takes us all the way to South Highland. So it does the loop and then heads back east.
Correct. And then we had put in the listing designing the Central Ave portion. Just design.
Okay.
And that's in this list here, the Central Ave. At the 125.
Okay.
Mr. Smith, any questions?
So in reality, the only funds we actually have to expend is the $1,933,000.
Yes, sir, at this point.
Commissioner Velasquez?
So yesterday I had a business owner that's in the CRA that's on the frontage of a main street asked about the opportunity to submit for a roof, which my understanding is it's a business. They're in the CRA. They're on frontage, in other words, where people will promote um, kind of foot traffic and that. So the question was, because we had a discussion, they realized that they have to have 3 quotes.
Mhm.
The question was 3 quotes, but now are they obligated to take the lowest bid, or can they choose
Yes.
of the 3 quotes the best?
It should be,
Uh,
long as all the specifications are met, everything is even, they should be taking that lowest bid.
they can pick. They're not obligated to pick the lowest bid.
No, yes, they are. If they responded to the bid based on the specifications that were provided,
Right.
that's the purpose of a bid. You take the lowest bid.
Okay.
Hmm.
What business was that? Did you say?
That was Naughty Lobster.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was Naughty Lobster because they want a specific roof
Yes.
um, in order to save for the electric bill that they get every month because it's an old roof.
Yes, ma'am.
This is this. Can I interject? Is this based on the way the program is currently structured?
That's my yes.
Okay, so let me give you an option if this is the thing. If this contractor that is the lowest bid doesn't do that style of roof or that kind of roof, then an option, again, assuming you can amend and have time to amend your grant program or whatever it reads, would be to say, we're only going to give you an award based on the lowest bidder. This is an upgrade. If you want to make up the difference out of your own pocket, have at it. So that's an option. But again, if that's not how your grant is structured, you need to change the way your program is structured.
And the specification should be based on what you're trying to accomplish, what you're looking for. So
Okay.
again, they should be bidding on that particular type of roof.
Yeah,
And
they
they,
were unable to attend this meeting tonight because 6 o'clock is their best time for
for the
service
restaurant.
at the restaurant.
Yes, ma'am.
But I happened to go for dinner and we discussed it, and they were unsure whether it's worth their effort to put in for it because they don't want to be stuck taking the lowest bid on a particular roof that they feel they want for their restaurant.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Anderson?
I don't have anything right now. No.
And I skipped member Drago down there. I am so sorry. I know you got some questions.
No. Well, I've had a couple of conversations with the court attorney relative to the process on how these homes get contracted relative to how it gets paid. And he was nice enough to give us a 5-step process. I gave him a process I used many times before. I was always of the opinion. Turn this on. I was always of the opinion that the entity that should be in control of not only the project but payment to the contractor is the city. Because you have better control, the prices are better. You can, I don't say regulate the prices, but at least you can get a contractor to, especially if a contractor knows he's going to have a lot of work. He gives you economies of scale. He won't charge you individually for any type of mobilization cost. So there's a cost savings there. Now, when I sent a copy of my model, and I think each of the commissioner got it, and one of the programs I put in there was a CAP program, curb appeal program. And in it, and I've used that program many times before, but the key element is that once the improvements are decided between the city and the homeowner grants a construction easement to the city. And an easement is an overlay to the property. So the easement belongs to the city. It gives them permission to go and do the modification work. And the city pays the contractor, and the city is responsible for the quality of work. It takes that responsibility away from the homeowner. And you don't need 2 or 3 bids. I think the interim CA indicated that he had a contractor that the city uses, sole source. That contractor can be used. Does he sub work out? Yes, but he's responsible for the subs and the quality of the work. So it streamlined the program, and I think you can spend the 305,000 quickly and efficiently.
Thank you. And I didn't share with everybody, but this
I did. I put it by.
I know,
gave
but I
every-
don't know if they knew what this was. So this
Okay.
is the list of when we put out the CDBG grant for the
Housing.
$800,000 we got from the state. These are all the applicants that we got, and ones obviously we didn't have enough money to do everybody. So my recommendation is we at least give these folks the first shot at the residential facade repair grant. I mean, probably some of the things in here don't meet, like if it's a toilet and it doesn't meet the guidelines that the CRA would meet. But for ones that would meet the guidelines, I would suggest that we would take all of these first, because we've already vetted them. There's some that I guess in red give you what if there's missing something or so.
Yes.
But I just my thought because as you know we had I think 20 made it all the way through the final process and then just ran out of money. We went down the list and we funded 6 or 7.
We funded 4, but we coming back to council this meeting with the 5th one per our conversation. We did have some additional fundings left over for CDBG
Okay.
because of the ARP funding.
Yep.
So we'll be bringing that 5th house. Miss Perkins Radley, is it? I think it is Miss Angela Florence or Miss Perkins. Is it Miss? Am I getting the name right? Miss Perkins. Okay. The 5th house. So we did find the money for that.
Okay.
So we have about 7 other homes that were alternate homes, because it was a total of 12. So the alternate homes are the ones that we would look at first,
Right.
because the rest of them did not, meet
But not
the
all of these
requirement.
are within the CRA boundaries either.
That location.
Yes,
Well, I'm telling you, they're
Oh,
different.
you already know.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So whatever meets the requirements and whatever is in the CRA.
If the CDBG grants pay for some of these homeowners, the homeowners would not be eligible to apply for the residential grant program?
I would think not. I mean, that's a total rehab or a rebuild.
Can the CDBG grants that's approved for these homeowners, can it supplement the residential grant program to do more renovations?
Funding is not there to supplement. The funding is not there to supplement. We didn't have enough funding to even cover the 5 homes. We only had enough funding for 4 homes. We just, and we're putting in money, the city is, for that 5th home.
Well, that wasn't my question.
I'm sorry. Well,
If house number 1 has a grant from the CDBG for $5,000,
there's no more funding.
but they need $10,000 worth of work, can the residential grant program supplement the 5,000 to give it a total of 15?
I assume if it was in the CRA and it was eligible under both programs, it could.
Okay.
But in this particular case, the funding that was available under the CDBG program covered the full house.
I understand. Okay.
Okay?
So the first 5 on this front page is the ones that we funded?
Yes, the first 4, we're bringing you the 5th one.
The 5th one.
Okay. If no other questions for the staff, we'll have this public comment. Anybody would like to come up? And then we'll dig into it. So,
Well, prior to public comment, if I may, I want to do a quick presentation, just kind of bring this whole thing together. Hopefully, we can kind of have a cohesive message. So I'll step down here real quick and stand on the podium. Thank you. So because we had such a big turnout from residents that were interested within the CRA, I wanted to kind of give a historic context. Not going to dive deep into this, but it just helps to understand where we came from, how it started, and kind of, again, help kind of craft this conversation a little bit better to make sure that we're hitting on every level of what a CRA is supposed to be doing. So it was established by resolution and ordinance in 1993. The resolution actually created the CRA itself. The ordinance created the trust that the money goes into. Covers a total of 633 acres. It's 513 parcels, which is inclusive of multifamily, and some are vacant still. 250 total commercial properties. And then there was an updated plan with a lot of community input that came up in 2017. That it was 20 plus years old, and they finally updated the plan that adapted to what the residents wanted. And what that plan does is it's a anchor back to what we should be doing. Anchor all these dollars back to, if we're going to allocate it to something, does it go back to the plan? Kind of a strategic plan of what we could base all these projects off of. So from that actual plan itself, there was a quote that I thought really helped, again, craft this conversation. A redevelopment plan was originally adopted for Apopka in 1993 to document a strategy for the Community Redevelopment Agency that would facilitate a comprehensive and coordinated revitalization of the CRA. And I think that last part, it's a comprehensive and coordinated, so it shouldn't be one specific area or another specific area. It's a comprehensive. It's kind of pulling each lever together and making sure that they all work together. The goals and kind of traditional intents of many CRAs is to preserve and improve current residential and commercial properties. It's not to tear down properties or to take properties from anybody. It's to improve them and preserve the history that's there. It's one of the biggest things is to reduce and eliminate blight. Its real main goal, which we discussed last meeting, is to increase the tax base within the CRA through increased property values, which, again, we knew that. That's really what the goal of a CRA is. What this does, and it's a byproduct of what the CRA actually is that it assists residents in creating multi-generational wealth, which goes so far, because if you don't have multi-generational wealth that's able, your parents or grandparents aren't able to pass down, it goes so far that you unfortunately in our system that we have here, both locally, state level, and federally, you need to have funds to be able to have a voice. And that's the way that it is right now. So to be able to do that, this helps with that. And it helps owners in the area to be able to reduce blight by increasing wealth. It attracts new and assists in attracting new business owners, which, again, it's part of that lever of improving residential properties, but bringing in businesses that help to create that community feel, and then retain and assist current business owners that are already in the community. One of the big areas of a CRA is to honor and conserve historic structures within the CRA, which they stated as a 50-plus-year-old property. And these properties listed here are all from the 2017 plan that was created, that was updated for the CRA itself. So I'm sure there's many more, especially now that we're 8 years later. There's many, many more there. So again, these funds it all goes together, which is, again, what creates a impressive and strong community and a CRA itself. From the workshops itself in 2017, some of the main topics were public safety, which we already have been implementing, some of the police coordination within the community, which we've already allocated a lot of funds for. Public participation, meetings like this. The more meetings we do of this nature, the better it's going to be, because, again, everyone needs to have a voice and be able to impact their community directly. Accessibility, it goes towards transparency and making sure that people have the ability to participate. Small Business Assistance Programming, which was a new program that started in 2017, and again, I referenced that on the previous slide. Residential Improvement Program, same thing, it's a new program of 2017 that helps residents be able to fix their facades and, again, create that multi-generational wealth and increase property values. They want new and residential and mixed-use development, which we've been seeing since 2017, many new residential properties, not as much mixed use, but a lot of new residential properties within the CRA. And then they asked for park and public space improvement. So more parks and more public spaces as well that, again, create community. The more community you have, the stronger your CRA. And again, that's the whole point at the end of the day. This was from the plan as well. It goes into the existing land uses and number of parcels. So you have single family, commercial, retail, and a lot of these have changed a little bit through different entitlements. And then obviously we've seen a lot of the vacant parcels start to be developed as well. This goes to Commissioner Anderson, our conversation we had last time, that for the 456 residential parcels, kind of how that money could be allocated. And again, depending on how much funds we want to allocate, things of that nature. And then it goes to the percent of owners that we feel will actually apply for these funds, because we have to assume, as if you're having a kid's birthday party, that if there's going to be 20 people that you've invited, you need to assume that 20 people are going to come. I need to have those goodie bags for 20 kids that are coming. So in that same concept, whether or not those 20 kids come, I need to have that prepared. So if we assume, we need to come to the table assuming, are all 100% of those homeowners coming? If they are, let's budget accordingly. Are only 75, 50%, 25%? So this just helps. It's a visual representation of how can we do the biggest impact with the dollars that are available, and what do we truly feel the amount of homeowners in the area, or property owners, will actually apply for. And this helps it again with. And Commissioner Anderson, you made that point of there was only uh, one homeowner or a property owner that applied since 2017 for $1,000. So again, what do we think is the realistic amount of homeowners that are going to apply, and let's budget for that and make sure that it's fully budgeted and planned for. So this, again, it's a visual representation. It depends where you want to budget for that specific line item. The downtown trail itself, we obviously are allocating $2.4 million for that to finish that out. The remaining funds, I didn't, and thank you, Mrs. Sherman, for for explaining the 131 that's already budgeted. So I just wanted to go through that and just make the explanation that this is a comprehensive approach. So it's not specialty projects or anything that we want, but each one has a specific role. And especially in 2017, we need to be going back to everything that we're going to approve tonight or in the coming months or weeks or months goes back to that strategic plan that was already created in 2017, and it ties back and makes sense to that. So again, I just wanted to kind of bring that conversation together. I'm not pushing anything by any means. It's just, let's make sure that the projects we are approving and the programs we're approving goes back to that plan, and we can tie every dollar and say strategically, where was that in the plan? Okay, got it, check, let's do it. And how much money do you want to do towards it? So I'm happy to take any questions. I don't think there's a lot of, just explain it again. I just wanted to craft the conversation so we know moving forward for the residents as well, and this board as well, that we all are on the same page of there's a plan already in place. Let's stick to that because we did have a lot of resident input then. Does need to do some adaptation for sure, but let's make sure that we're getting it right. And again, to the benefit of the entire CRA. So that's it. Thank you so much. And again, happy to have more discussions on this.
Okay, Susan, who's first? What's that? Virginia Street? Come on, Virginia.
Okay, so I do see the proposed list. I didn't see anything for a resource center for the unhoused and needy. I know we talked about once purchasing the property here, right across from Loaves and Fishes and Loaves. I can't remember which one it is, but I know we talked about buying that property and possibly creating a small print of a resource center there. And it is on the list. Where is that? Which number is it?
It's on 8th Street.
Eighth.
What number?
Is that one of those land acquisitions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which one is it?
That 14? 16?
Is that 16?
Is it one of these land acquisitions?
Let me see. I'm sorry.
It's number 24. It's the
24. There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is on the list, but is there anything about putting maybe a trailer or something, a building structure at that place in order to move
I'm
forward?
not even sure that would meet. I don't know whether that meets the criteria for CRA dollars, but I don't know that.
It wouldn't be. Why would you think it would not be?
What's that?
I mean, it is a way of improving the community within the CRA area to at least provide some resources for the unhoused that are standing in front of some of the businesses and are, trying to keep the area clean, got to at least have something to actually motivate them to get off of the street during business hours, at least. Um, so, I would suggest us possibly looking into, you know, purchasing the property and, in addition, also see about putting a structure there. I don't know how much that would cost. A trailer, I made a couple of calls. $50,000 could get you a double wide to put there. And then I know one time we talked about having someone in to, if we gave them the requirements, they would actually, you know, design and show us what would look like to have a facility. Give them the design and the area that you have, and they would actually create the footprint of it for you. That, along with the money that has already been allocated from that. What's the name of the project that actually has uh, that at the church?
You
The
talking about next step?
next step. Along with that, partnering with them would also allow us to, push forward and at least have some kind of footprint there. I don't know if that's a possibility.
Well, I know we can't build a building that fast, and that's our
No,
yeah.
we don't have to have a
But
building. We don't have to have a building,
yeah,
but a trailer or
yeah.
something. And it's a perfect location right there where all of the resources, the health departments there. You got Fish and Loaves there. You got all these things there that I don't. You would not have to redo again. You would just be able to use those resources. So that would be my only concern. I do appreciate it being on the list, but is it on the list to approve tonight? Um, but could we also add possibly getting a trailer there? Would that be possible?
Anything's well. I don't know whether that's
Well, it would constitute bricks and mortar, so there's that. But what's typical is when it's a general city thing, like housing people who are unhoused, that should be a general fund expense, not a CRA expense, because it's really not redevelopment. However, as an example of what might be able to be done, again, assuming that we somehow get through this legislative tidal wave and we don't get hammered, is if the city were interested in acquiring an existing building, let's say, but needed rehabilitation that happened to be in the CRA, then there's no reason the city couldn't also apply for the facade grant, just like anybody else. And in fact, in Tampa, that happens all the time. They have grants just for the city. If the city's going to take a building and rehab it, they can apply, if it's in the CRA, for a grant from the CRA to rehab the building. So that's a possibility. There may be others. And if we were going to go down that road before I got us too deep in the water, I would suggest getting an opinion from the AG when he's not otherwise occupied with things to back up that would be a lawful expenditure, because we can acquire land and we can, for redevelopment purposes, do things like facade grants. But it's a difference. Like if we acquired land and then built a city jail, that's a city expense, and that's not a CRA expense, and that's the issue.
So if we go ahead and acquire this land with the expectation that we would put a resource center there. I'm not looking for a shelter, full shelter. I'm just looking for a resource center to start me out with. Okay? All right.
thank you. Next up, come on down, Leroy.
Leroy Bell, Mount Helen. In 2018, when your administration came into this office, came to be the mayor, you took over for Joe Kissheimer. Joe Kissheimer just had obtained a grant to build a building out there on 6th Street, Lorenzo William Park. Yeah, You up to speed? Okay. If you remember, everything was paid for. Since Joe lost to you, it fell on your hands to finish the building. If you remember, you came in and you spoke about all the firemen that you brung in to get the building together and all this. It brings me to number 13. One thing you didn't finish was you didn't put the sod in at Lorenzo William Park. But I see that you're doing it at Edwards Field.
It's there.
Uh,
It's there now.
huh?
It's there now.
Oh, you when did you put in? Well, tell me, when did you put in the sprinkler system?
6 months ago.
Up at Lorenzo William Park?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go over and take a look. It's there.
okay. We will.
Okay.
So with the CBD grant, with the houses that already is being built. If you remember, myself and Sylvester Hall went out and visit each one of those homes. Right now, one is up under construction up on 7th in Washington, which is Marty Ivory. If you remember, we don't understand how your friend got a chance to get up there to work on this house. To everyone point that we was talking about the contractors. We have one contractor in Apopka that you seem to be crying about 3 bids, but it always seemed that this guy wins the bid. It seemed to me that it's a kickback. But with the CBD, if you go down to East 8th Street, right across from Georgia Avenue, you'd allocated all this money through this grant, and the house looked better than the house I live in. If you come back up on West 8th Street, you'd allocated money through this grant. I don't know if you got the contractor pick to go out there. If you go out there and look at it, these people already have a brand new roof on the house. And the reason they got a brand new roof on the house, because won't nobody put no solar up on a regular roof. These people, the only thing that this thing need is paint. But yet it still is 200 and some $1,000 allocated to refurbish this house on East 8th Street and West 8th Street. The fourth house that Blanche was speaking about, I don't know about the fifth one that you guys going on, but the other one is up north. I think, I don't know if Sylvester got the picture, but this house looks like it's brand new. So what I would like to know, if we allocate money to houses that already look good, where's the money going to? What is the contractor doing with the money? Are we going to follow these people? Wait a minute, hold up. Just hold it a minute. You can sit back because a few minutes ago Miss Street was up here and wasn't no. Well, guess
So what
what?
do you want, Leroy?
What
What would
you
you
say?
like? What do you want to know?
What I want to know is this: why in the world me and Sylvester been standing up here for 2 years, 2 years trying to get things done like this, and it's always fall on deaf ears, and the money is not adding up. If we had had forensic audit, we wouldn't be in the spot that we in now. And with this CBD, we need answers about that, because if you're jerking people around with the CBD, what you think, what we expect for you to do with this money that's allocated to the people. Now, I'm worried about the people in South Apopka and everybody in Apopka too. But also people on the north side of Apopka, some of their money is being spent.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Leroy. Appreciate
Ain't no thank you nothing. We want answers.
it. Okay. All right. Who's next?
And,
Anybody
and, and, and before I go, you talking about the core, it was despicable what you
And your lawyer did to the little man last meeting night, telling him to sit down and shut up. That was despicable.
Anybody else want to speak? All right. All right, we'll close the public hearing.
Sylvester Hall, 3091 Rolling Hills Lane. Thank you, Commissioner Nestor, for bringing the core back of what the CRA was meant for. And I'm going to keep saying it. In the city of Apopka, state of Florida, and in our country, too many good people standing by watching bad things happening and not doing anything about it. But here's what I'm trying to brace you for. When you are exposed, and when it is exposed, there's going to be nowhere for you to run and hide. So I keep saying that as a reminder to wake up your moral conscience. I keep saying it as a reminder to wake up your moral conscience. Because these things, integrity, character, all these things matter when we're doing anything in this administration. But I want to, for me, I'm just curious to look at when we say this country has lost the sight that people is its greatest resource, not big business, not technology, it's the people that what makes a country great. And so when I look at this list and I see how little we want to do directly for the people, it really pains me. Now, the bridge that goes downtown over Main Street, I have never driven down Main Street and saw somebody walking over that bridge, regardless of what time of day it is. I have never seen somebody walk across that bridge. So it's beautification and we just spending money. Now we spending I would say round it off, $2.5 million for a downtown trail. How many people are gonna walk the trail? What revenue is it bringing into the city? $2.5 million. And so when we get back to the people, we don't have no money for the people. Or is it welfare when we're talking about giving the money to the people? It's welfare. Keep in mind, there's an ordinance in this administration where, not this administration, but it's in the city of Apopka, where all those Negroes that we sent on the other side, they had to live on the other side, mandatory. Then we had the lawsuit, Dardell versus the city of Apopka. None of that has been corrected. You have the money to make that right now, but you still want to give it somewhere else. You have the money to rectify that, but you don't. You tell them they got to go over there, and it's mandatory. Some of you sitting in this room may be the ones that running them over on the other side of the track and make sure they was over there by sundown. We know the history of the city of Apopka, but we don't want to face it. So here you go, you put them over there, and poverty breeds crime. So now the system is doing what it's supposed to do. We're going to put you over here, we give you no resources, and we tell you to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Now you have money to rectify that, and we don't want to give a doggone penny to the residents. Not one single cent. Then we got $400,000 allocated to where we haven't even talked to somebody. We haven't even talked to anybody. That's just money that's just sit aside, taking up quote unquote space. We have to do better. Those residents over there deserve. You said 250, they deserve $500,000, and I agree with that. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Not, we'll close the public hearing. And so what we need to do is kind of go through the priority list. And obviously the land acquisitions are like, to me, the biggest one that would be the most important would be the Alonzo Williams Park expansion with Quest. And I guess everybody got the email from former Commissioner Becker about they're having their board meeting tomorrow. And I guess there was some, So we'll just kind of have to wait to see. So that's kind of a big, obviously a big number, but a big would be a big improvement for the Alonzo Williams Park. But I guess we need to just start.
You want to
I
start
guess
at um, the lowest priority you have, and let's just start peeling them back till we get to the number.
Well, again,
I say
and that's
one.
why I wanted to that presentation. I want to make sure every dollar we're spending, link it back. Let's keep linking this back to the plan in some way. So it's not just our own pet projects. It's a link back to the strategic plan that was already created. Again, we can adapt it a little, but it should go to the core of what a CRA is, which is to benefit the community where it is.
So, which one you want to start with, Mayor?
I-
And the first one,
Let's see the total again for all the projects that
3
are listed.
million,
So we gotta-
3,071,731. Do you like
So I
1.2
just
over?
probably start for number one
You want to start with number one?
and go down. I mean,
Okay.
so not gonna be skipping around.
So, are we still at the 305, or are we at the 250 with 25% based on Commissioner Nesta's?
I said 305. I don't think we should decrease that amount.
Keep it at 305, Mayor, and everyone in
Well, what's
agreement?
I guess again, what's the goal, or what do we expect? How many residents do we feel will apply for this by October? Apply and get approved by October.
I think we don't. I think because we have not done a lot of community outreach, I think that no, we all would just be assuming and guessing. We wouldn't know. We have no way to measure that.
Totally agree. So that and we're maxing it out at 20,000, correct? Is that
I don't think we came up with. Did we come up with a number yet? I don't remember.
Well,
Us actually.
what we did was you had one number and we added 25 more because we kind of the 305 was for number 13, and then at the end you said just
I think
just
per
flip it.
residence. I think we were talking about the residents.
Each resident.
Each residence. How much?
Oh, you said 20,000.
we said 20.
Up to 20,000. And you want Cliff to go
I-
over his
I mean, I'd love to go down so we get more, we help more people, but it's,
Mhm.
even if you get up to 10,000, that's only 30 houses.
yeah.
So we probably do need to go down to probably 10 because then we're able to. Let's do the
You
math
still
on
want
that.
the total to be 305, if I'm understanding correctly.
So we're at
so?
three.
Again, I let's back it in. Let's think about it logically, though. I mean, do we think it's going to be 30 people? Do we think it's going to be 50 people? Where do we think we can get with some marketing, with some outreach? Let's just try
I
to.
think we can spend. I think we'll have no problem spending.
I mean, we spent $1,000 of it in 8
Well,
years.
we haven't had a 100% match, so I can assure you we'll have people that are angry because we didn't have enough money. That'd be
So
my
then,
guess.
should we increase the number then? Because again, do we think it's going to be 30? Do we think it's going to be 50? And again, if we look at this historically as well, over 8 years, we spent $1,000. So if let's use the number 500,000 divided by 8 years, that's $62,000 per year that hasn't really been spent. So as much as this is a big one-time cost, average this out over the last 8 years that we've only spent $1,000 on. This isn't this
So-
insane number.
Do you want Cliff to go over his
Yeah,
proposed?
yeah.
This is for the residential.
Yes.
Okay. So I've sent an email, and unfortunately, I didn't have the non-council member information, but I was able to email it to Mr. Drago. And it's basically 5 points, some of which have more meat on them. And by the way, the program that he provided has some points that I would go ahead and layer in there as well. But basically, the first thing is, the question is, how do you control money in these programs if there's no match? And if the idea is we want people to fix houses, how do you keep them from using folks that are unqualified and unaccountable? And the best way to do that, the easiest way to do that, and it's very similar to what he has in his program, is where you vet or select contractors. You said, for example, that the contractors who were available to do the CBDG work would be a good start, and maybe that's true if they're interested in projects of this size. But the bottom line is, it would be contractors that we vet, we know that they will start and finish the project in a timely manner. They do quality work, so that we wouldn't have any issue saying to an applicant, here is your list of possible contractors. I would suggest to you, much like some of you will relate to this, much like I can never figure out which show to watch on Netflix because there's too many. There's such a thing as having too many contractors. So whether you choose 3 or 5, but I wouldn't put 50 down there because you're just now creating confusion as well. Which one do I need to interview them all and all that stuff? So I
Well,
would pick.
can we just stop there? Because I saw your email and just we can go one by one just with questions, so we don't go all the way through it.
Sure.
The first one there. So what happens if a contractor that we say they're approved destroys this house, doesn't show up? Does that resident now have liability? They can sue us for. We said nope. That's a trusted contractor. You should use them. These are all you can use.
The contracts will between them, meaning the contractor and the applicant, and yeah, we would have the structured contract so that it doesn't come back to us because we would be the ones preparing the contract to be used, like we would for other things. This is the contract. It'll just have a place for a descriptor of what the scope of the approved money for the grant, for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is we don't want them doing stuff unless it's on the homeowner's dime that is not a part of our approved funds. If they want to do a separate deal with a homeowner where the homeowner has got some money where they can say, hey, I need another outlet in the house. It's not a part of our grant. While you're here, can you put an outlet in? That's on them. But if you follow what I'm suggesting here, we would have a contract that makes us the third party payer. All warranties of workmanship and everything would extend to the property owner, not to, we wouldn't be a part of that train. And there would be a pre-agreed upon draw schedule at whatever percentages of completion of the work based on the scope of work. And this is a really important one, but I mean, it's covered in a different step, but the lien releases part is tremendous. The biggest problem with saying, here's the money, you pick your contractor and have at it, is then they get themselves in trouble. Because I would venture to say the average homeowner, and by average I mean maybe 60, 70%, maybe more, would have no clue what to do to protect themselves from a contractor's lien or a materialman's lien, meaning someone who just supplied lumber or shingles or whatever the job. But there are specific things you need to do to protect yourself from having to pay twice. And so by us taking the extra step of having the contractors have an agreed upon schedule, making sure all the warranties run to the homeowner, we kind of try to stay out of that loop. If you're asking the question, could we be sued anyway? Well, the answer to that, no matter what the question is, you can always be sued. The question is, can you be sued successfully? And we would have language within the contract that limits our liability and constitutes a waiver of the contractor or the homeowner's right to sue us as the grant party.
So to 2 seconds. I'm just you jump in a second. I'm so sorry. So there's still a liability there, obviously, which is fine. So walk me through the process of us selecting vendors. Then how do we go through an approval process?
Well, there's a number of different ways. One of the ways that has been suggested, again, assuming it doesn't conflict with your purchasing policy, that would be maybe a Blanche question, is to say, well, we already got a certain number on here. We think that these 3 or 4 are the best ones, and we're good with that. And if that's true, okay. And as long as it doesn't interfere with your purchasing policy. The other way would be essentially put out an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications as opposed to a proposal, because they're not bidding on a specific job, and say, we're looking to find contractors to do jobs up to whatever the grant amount is, 20, 30, 15, whatever you all decide on, of home improvements. Could include roofing, could include siding, could include windows, could include exterior steps, could include, it's basically exterior improvements. We would like you to submit your qualifications, your references, and so forth, and then we will pick from those who submit that the maximum amount that will be available is this, because that maximum amount is going to eliminate a lot of contractors.
Sure. Well, I think that's the point too, and what I'm concerned about as well is that we can do this process, but it keeps delaying this, and we now have to microwave this process because of the state.
It's absolutely true, and that's why if you have people on this list that you already know that are good and will do the work, then that's the
I'll be
shortest cut.
honest, I don't have an appetite to mix these two programs together. I don't want to mix.
It's not a mixing of programs; it's just that you got contractors you like.
I don't have an appetite for that.
Okay.
Those are my questions, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay. So I just have a few concerns. The first concern is that these are the residents' homes, and I don't feel that the city should tell the residents or restrict the residents on who to use.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
So why do I think that's important?
Well, let me
okay.
explain. I do feel that we should make sure that they are qualified, and there should be a vetting process that should say if they want to use ABC contractor, right? They have to come apply with the city, and we have to approve them in order to do the project. But I don't feel that we should actually, we can make recommendation. Here's a list of recommended trusted contractors. However, we should allow them to choose their own contractor, and there should be a vetting process where they have to come in and they say, okay, we want to get our company signed up. But I don't think we should strong arm them into using our preferred contractors.
The reason why I put this, okay, I can't hear on it
Leroy,
myself.
you need to. It's closed. Leroy, we need to be respectful of the process. It's closed.
Okay. So the reason I put that in there is because, and again, this is your call, but the reason I suggested it is because my concern is someone would say, hey, I got a $20,000 grant, let's say, and my uncle does roofing. My brother-in-law can do siding. They do a terrible job. The money's gone, and what we're actually paying for is something that we can look at and see the improvement to benefit the CRA. So we have a stake in this process that goes to including perhaps making sure that the contracts are able to be done. They're actual contracts, they're not made up. The numbers are not fake because we have the ability to police that. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But what I'm telling you that will open you up to is the potential for work not getting done that you paid for, or work being shoddy because it doesn't meet code, and all the other things. And so that's a potential problem.
But once again, we will approve the contractors. They still have to be licensed and insured. And if they're licensed and insured and there are some type of defect, then of course the homeowners do have recourse because they are licensed and insured. So I'm not saying that they have to have, I've never said unqualified. I said a licensed, certified, and whatever certification they need. If it's a licensed electrician, if it's a roofing company, they need to be certified and come to the city. I just do not feel that we should force the residents to use our preferred contractors.
That is fine. This is a control for how your money is getting spent. So if you don't want that control, that's fine.
But it's their money as well because they pay. It's just not our money; it's their money as well.
Okay. Well,
And this is a recommendation, so we'll
It's a
take it as a
recommendation. Yeah, it's
recommendation.
a recommendation.
Thank
I
you.
mean, everybody have the floor to their own opinion, but that's just my opinion.
Yep.
This is my one opinion.
And
so
and again, we right now we're just talking about allocating this amount of money, and we still got to come up with the criteria for the program, right, at a later date.
Yeah, but the
If-
sooner we do it, the sooner we can start.
I
And
know.
again, we got to microwave this process now,
Yeah,
so
I
we
know.
can't keep delaying this until these funds just go back.
Exactly.
So we
Let's just go down the list. Let's get to the number we need to get to, and
Yeah, then we'll come
and then we
back.
can come back and figure that. I mean, I'd like to get it all done tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my goal. Just we'll figure out.
right. Well, to the extent all we're going to do is be supplying money, this short circuits the list pretty quickly. But if we're going to go through the whole list, and I'll tell you what it all adds up to. So the one is, as I mentioned, is making sure we're picking contractors that we know will do the work we're paying for and do a quality job of it. That we have some control over the process because we select them, we vet them in the whole business. If that is not what you want, then that's okay. But that's what was the suggestion.
We don't
And they would
control
be
for
bonded.
I
would-
guess my concern with that is we don't control the businesses. I mean, they get to choose who they want to use. So
I'm
I don't
sorry, I
understand.
cannot
Yeah,
hear
but I
when
just want to
it's
just. You can finish.
What I can't hear when he's talking.
It's fine. You can continue.
Okay. So the issue is if we want to do it that way, we would be able to control, for example, when we disperse the funds, right? And if you did a grant the other way, which is okay, but we haven't done, well, one thing I don't think we've done before, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think we've done a residential grant other than the small $1,000 deal and didn't get, too many applicants, probably because the mountain's not enough to do substantial work. That's my guess. I don't know. But that's why this is a different thing. We're not dealing with businesses who presume to have some level of sophistication. We're dealing with, at least, and my understanding of this is folks who need this help and probably don't have the same level of sophistication as a business owner about things like getting releases of lien.
and we understand your first point here. And again,
All
I think the
right, come on.
goal is. I think the goal is
Trying to get the meeting under control.
We understand your point, and I think contractually we can maybe add some
Right.
provisions in there, but let's just move on. We understand your point.
Okay, so that's number one. The work is limited to exterior improvements such as roofs, windows, doors, and those other exterior improvements. And this is quoted from the statute, necessary to carry out plans for a program of voluntary or compulsory repair and rehabilitation of buildings and other improvements in accordance with the community redevelopment plan. The assumption is that there's a portion of our plan that this would be justified under. So I'm assuming that that's the case. The third is city retains a private building inspection company. Why did I put that in there? Because after speaking to your own building inspector or building department, that could be a substantial amount of additional work, and timeliness may be difficult. When you're doing any kind of construction job, timely inspections is important. And so if you're going to do it, I'm just making up numbers here. John would probably have the best, Mr. Hanson would have the best suggestion about when you should do it. But whether it's at 20%, 60%, 90%, 100%, or when the inspection should be done, or whether it's based on the type of work, there should be a schedule. Well, if you have to wait on inspectors, that's a delay in the project. And so if you have a private firm that you can say, hey, this is the job that needs inspection today, we're at 20%, or whatever it is they're inspecting. There are companies you can contract with, and that cost of the inspections can be rolled into the grant as a part of the grant process. So that's a suggestion. All of these are suggestions, but they're ways to have some control over the process.
Did Mr. Hanson provide any type of cost estimate on that?
No, he did not. I didn't even just consult with him about it, except to understand that it would be difficult, but perhaps depending on how many of these come in all at once, and if you're trying to get it done before October, there may be a shortage. And so having someone who's able to go when you need them right now and qualified might be a good thing.
To confirm as well, the project doesn't need to be done by October 1. It just needs to be approved.
It needs to be approved.
So we could space these out as needed and tell recipients, hey, you were the first 5 in, you guys have Q1 of next year. That we're going to focus on you, and our team is going to do that, and kind of space these out from there.
Well, the problem
so that
with
our
that
team
is
ready.
The problem with that is the contracts don't last that long. If I'm bidding on a contract today for $20,000, which includes various improvements, and we get a hurricane in 2 months from now, the cost of the goods is now up here. My contract's no longer any good. So you have me on hold. I'm not honoring it because I can't. And so,
well, we just had contractors last week that we approved that they said we're going to do X until 3 years out or 5 years out. So I understand you're saying goods versus labor.
Yes.
I understand the difference there, but so we can still build these type of provisions into the contract that say no force majeure. This
only
is
if we are doing the contracts. If they're doing contracts with individual homeowners, all we're doing is supplying the money.
But can't we require a homeowner that gets an award to sign a contract between the homeowner and the city?
With us to get the grant, sure.
Okay,
but
that's
different than the contractor honoring a price that no longer is valid because of cost of goods.
But we can put in that contract between the city, the contractor, and the resident that those force majeure words, your labor can't go up X amount. These provisions have to be agreed to in place. So I think that can be in a contract. So it still covers this area and make sure that our residents are taken care of as well as the city.
Okay.
Okay.
The fourth point of this potential program would be that the contractors would agree, if we use the approved contractor approach, which I'm hearing that maybe there's some resistance to that, but they would waive their lien rights. And the reason that's important for us is because if they use contractors that don't waive their lien rights, then they could end up in a situation where they're paid twice. How does this happen? Well, many times the people who show up to do the job are not the people who you have a contract with. They're subcontractors, people who are delivering materials to your job, whether it's lumber or siding or roofing materials. They have nothing to do except they're told, here's the amount of stuff I need delivered to this point. And they will send a notice to owner that tells you, hey, these are materials we supplied, and if we don't get paid, we're looking to you. If there's nobody to monitor that process and the homeowner doesn't know what to do or how to protect themselves, then you have a legitimate possibility of you paying out all the money and the house getting taken by a lien foreclosure, which is absolutely superior to everything else except a mortgage. And so this is a problem. And that's why the control of the contractors, along with the waiver of lien rights, becomes important. And the reason they would do that, as long as we're the payor, is because we are the payor. We will absolutely pay them. That'll be the term of the grant. on the draw schedule that's agreed to. So that's kind of the
Sure, and that can go in that three-party contract that we're speaking of.
could be if
Yeah.
there's a third party contract. Yes.
Easy to do. Absolutely.
Okay.
And then the last is the application itself, which would be detailed enough so that we could determine eligibility based on whatever requirements you're going to put in. I don't know whether it's income or what it's going to be based on, code violations or whatever the criterion would be, and then select projects by whichever means you select them. I don't know if it's a staff function or however you will do it, that most meet the requirements and the goals of your plan. So if you have 5 projects and one is really not a big deal and it's sort of adding, makeup to something that is otherwise fine, but somebody who's got a house that's in real trouble, you might choose one over the other. So that's a system you'd have to come up with in terms of how you prioritize who gets the money.
Sure. It's a process for a grant application. So the application process.
So
itself.
those are the 5 points basically.
Okay.
Okay. So we good with the 305 here? Okay.
Do we want to reduce that to 10,000 so that we can it hits a bigger pool of homeowners, or
I think we have to probably just discuss that in general, kind of what that program looks like. So we don't have the details worked out yet. So we probably just
So
put it in the
just
budget.
the
and keep
total
it
amount
moving.
right now is the 305.
Yeah.
Okay, the next project, the signal pedestrian upgrades on 5th and Central Avenue, the design, 77,658.
So that's just the design, right? So that's
Yes.
not the cost to construct.
No, that's
So we would
just
need additional funds to do that
yes.
later,
Mhm.
and we're not sure where those funds going to come from.
So I mean,
Typically out of transportation impact fee.
and what a well-funded that is.
I know.
We have
Right.
So
very
it's-
limited funds.
So
in
we
that.
could be with the design sitting and not sure we're able to actually.
No, I said probably in the transportation impact fee fund. He just
So
mentioned how.
we will have fun. Okay.
Yes. We should. We good with that one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. What about the signal and pedestrian upgrades at 5th and Park Avenue? That's the construction.
absolutely.
Mayor's definitely for that one. Everyone? Any pushback on that? Everybody good? All right. I loved it. Thank you.
Well, but we're going
I know we'll be down there after a
to
while.
start cutting because
Downtown Apopka Trail Central Avenue portion design. That's 125,000.
that's just the design. So
Just the design.
But I mean, if I was going to strike one, we need to start somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think we should just wait on
We'll
that.
skip that one. Okay.
And can you describe that to me one more time? It's Central Ave to not 6 to Hawthorne. Is that?
No, it's Central Ave north from Michael Gladden to Station Street. So there's a sidewalk there currently. It's to expand it to trail width, and then that would connect the loop to the 6th Street portion.
I understand. Okay, that. Hopefully, we have that once we come into budget season. I do think that's an important piece down the road, but for now, I understand not having that in here.
All right. So the next 2 items, number 5 and 6, are Alonzo Williams Park amenity upgrade for a new pavilion and basketball courts rebuild.
Do we have tables out there and things of that nature, like picnic tables?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we put them closer as well to near the basketball courts themselves as well?
Yeah, I believe we have bleachers out there as well.
Okay, and they're newer. They're in good shape.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a good point.
Is
We
Will
were
they-
discussing that of having vendors out there to be able to have community events, things of that nature. Do we have any type of upgrades planned either in this budget or in our coming budget in October?
As the mayor mentioned, we just did some upgrades to the field itself out there, resodded with Bermuda turf and installed new irrigation.
Mhm.
We do not currently have any water hookups specifically for any events.
And no
Or
power.
power.
No
either?
power.
Come on, guys. Can y'all just let us hold the meeting here? I mean, it would really be nice if we could just do this without your input.
That was number 5.
Yeah, we're talking about number 5 and number 6.
Okay. I
And I
definitely
think-
think we need to keep number 5.
Okay. Any objections? Let me know. What about number 6 for the basketball courts? This is a rebuild.
It's,
Definitely.
They
it's
already
not in great
there.
It's not in great shape, but it would.
Yeah,
No, I think
enhance that.
Definitely needed.
You good on that?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, the Apopka Action Sports amenity upgrades. This is the skate pump park area. Looking at a new pavilion, artificial turf, ADA parking space with sidewalk, water fountain, and picnic tables.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the total
Down,
amount that we've actually already put? No, for the Pocket Action Park. How much money have we actually spent on that park already?
right.
So that was the 500,000 plus that change order for the 5,900 something.
Yeah.
So a little over 505.
So Radley, if we just did the pavilion and the go back down,
You got the
the
details.
pavilion is, and maybe the artificial turf, or what do you? I know we put them all in one lump sum, but I don't know if there's.
You need the water fountain there. That's
Okay.
something that
We can do
everyone's
the
asking
cheap stuff,
The water fountain for the kids.
you know, but having one pavilion be nice.
Artificial turf isn't in our code either, so either we need to change our code or not do artificial turf.
We probably can wait on artificial turf.
We don't allow residents to do that currently.
Yeah.
I understand, but we have separate rules than what residents can do. That's not equitable. So either allow it or don't allow it.
So let's keep going down, and we'll
come back to that.
So
I'd
Radley's going to give me a breakdown here.
yeah. I'd say get rid of
I'll pull that
pickleball
up.
courts.
Okay. All right. So you said pull out what, man?
The pickleball.
Pickleball courts.
The pickleball course. Okay.
Yeah. You want?
We can wait on pickleball
You
courts.
want basketball?
That's number 8, right?
So number 8, you do not want.
You want to do basketball or not?
This is on Edwards Field.
Is it in? I don't think it's in bad. Is it in bad
No,
condition? It's
we
not.
don't have one.
They don't have any
We don't
out
have
there.
one there. Edwards Field.
Edwards Field doesn't have anything. Right?
Okay, it doesn't, but it just say upgrade on there. So,
Where does it say? Yes, it's upgrade.
Is that
but I know we don't have one
to
that
the
just say
overall?
upgrade.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but they
I
do.
think all the Edwards Field, again, look back to the plan that we did in 2017. I don't think this links completely back to.
I think we can kind of wait on the Edwards Field.
I agree.
Mayor. Okay. So we'll go down to number
Well,
4.
I'd like to the bike repair because we've got the pump track. It'd be
Oh,
nice
okay.
to have that
That's
in the
3,000.
Western Orange Trail. I mean, that's
That's
peanuts.
3,000.
I mean, it's $3,000.
We can
I
put
mean,
that in.
and the water fountains. I'd like
Yeah,
to
the
do
water
those
fountains.
two.
Yeah, you need the
You need the water fountains for the kids.
Okay.
Okay.
But don't we already have water fountains over? Because the plan was over near the playground, not up near the pump track. That one specifically is what that's talking about.
Mm.
So don't we already have water fountains at what was the racquetball courts?
Yeah, that's a long way away.
Yeah, there's a water fountain over there.
That's all the way across the street. That's 400 or 500 yards away.
Yeah, no. When you go to the skate park, the one thing that everyone keeps asking.
These are different though.
it's
The Action
water
Sports
fountain.
Park is different and already budgeted a separate amount.
Yeah,
And this is a different water fountain.
This is Edwards Field.
Yes. Yeah.
Edwards Field.
Yeah, this is not the water. It's not the.
The skate park.
It's not the skate
Yeah.
park. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm. What about the ADA parking addition?
Well, how we said yes to the 22,000 for the water fountains in Edwards Park.
I thought
we
you
said
did.
yes.
Whatever. I mean,
Oh, did
We
say-
have
said
water
yes?
fountains at the racquetball court there.
Okay.
If we have the money to add it in, let's do that. But
take it off.
Okay.
What about the ADA parking addition?
where was that going to go? What?
Where the two
locations?
buildings are on, right, just north of
ADA parking.
Frank Carlton.
No, that's a different
The,
ADA.
the ADA parking was for over where the dog park parking is currently.
Oh, that's right, for the,
It's a gravel lot right now.
We don't have any ADA spots there right now.
No.
Okay, we definitely need to have those then.
Okay.
We do have some at Edwards by the racquetball courts, but not by the dog.
But not on the dog park side.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're at number 14. The Fifth Street gas lamps and installation of 10.
What's our total so far?
We have $1,036,000 left.
All right, so we got 900,000 left. All right.
hmm Don't forget your land acquisitions that are down here now.
I think gas lamps are a little superfluous right now for what we're doing. If we want to do string lights and things like that, that is a more affordable option that does still provide lighting in the area, brings people downtown, creates that intrinsic value, and is much more affordable. So
I got kind of a semi-quote, back of the napkin quote on string lights, and it'll be more than 70, but
there's
different
no way
lighting.
gas lamps are going to be cheaper, and the maintenance and
Okay.
all of that on gas lamps are going to be crazy. And then we got to pay ongoing monthly costs for the gas as well.
Mhm.
All right, so let's do the city hall downtown park.
Yes, City Hall Downtown Park.
And that's that pocket park here.
Pocket
That's
Park
the
right
one that was
Mm.
recommended by UCF, that little pocket park right here by the
Correct.
on gingerbread.
Yeah,
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
Everybody's in support of that?
Yes.
From the City Hall.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
8th and Highland, Pocket Park.
Well, let's skip and do the land acquisition for Alonzo Park first,
Okay. Anybody not in support of the 400,000 estimate for Alonzo
and
Way?
then
No.
and then the land acquisition for the Duke property, and
Okay.
see what that total brings us to.
Where do we get the 400,000 for Alonzo Williams Park expansion, the Quest properties?
Bobby just kind of, I know you did.
Based on property appraisers, and then we just kind of took their data because their assessed value is low, so we kind of estimated high.
How much higher did you go up?
Let me pull and see real quick.
Okay. And then would we be open to, because it's two different parcels there, are we open to, as a board, doing half and half, only doing one right now? Because the email that came from former Vice Mayor Becker stated they may want still to retain a portion of that for their own expansion. So I think just having the appetite to maybe only have one would still be beneficial. The one that's to the west is about 1.55 acres, and that seemed like that's a productive one to have for us at that park.
What happened to that total?
That's what we have available left, right?
Oh,
Here.
available. Okay.
Yes. This will be down to zero when we're done. That's what. We have 436,000 available. If we leave the 400 in there and put the 150 here. So,
The pocket park at 8th and Highland,
mhm.
is that the same place where we were talking about building the 4 homes?
Yes, it is.
So is the 4 homes going to still be able to be there with the pocket park?
Yeah, it's
That's
the 4 homes would be
this
on
is
8th Street, and the Pocket Park would be on Highland.
Okay. Then I think we need to do that one as well.
When you say do that one, eliminate it.
No,
Leave
keep it.
And
No.
Oh,
keep it.
add
Yeah,
it.
keep it.
Okay.
Keep it. Yeah.
okay.
Because the CRA it's all about keeping history and historical properties. I think adding the historical markers is important. There's a lot of historical properties that we have here locally that I think is worth retaining.
Okay. The downtown triangle property, the Station Street lighting, land acquisition for Kitland Nelson Park. Any appetite for any of those? Station Street resurfacing.
I go back to, if we want, Station Street lighting would be, it'd really get that. So now you obviously is one street over from the 6th, which starts to, we're starting to see some movement there on Station. The little coffee shop's really doing well, and giving them some additional lighting, I think would be trying to get our downtown district.
What kind of lighting are we thinking of there?
I think it's cement painted black and with a globe on top, but it'd be more directionally down. Is what I've been told.
I mean, that's part of the CRA goal is to, again, create a safe environment, and lighting helps with that. So more lighting the better.
So you're in support of that.
So that was 15,000.
Now we need
That's the one you're referring to, right?
Yep.
Number 19.
Yes.
Okay.
the demolition of 8th and Highland maintenance complex. We kind of have to do that if we're going to be building homes there, or doing that park. So that's required. We're gonna have to demolish it either way. Either we're paying for it, or the CRA is paying for it.
231,000 left. You have the land acquisition for Kitland Nelson Park expansion.
And that's the property that's just north of Orange, right abutting the West Orange Trail. So close to the Fran Carlton. Closest would be the closest.
I just don't know what we would do with that because you have to cross streets to get there unless it's just additional parking.
Well,
But
well, the nice thing is if you had that, you could close the street up to the edge of that property. That would really be an added feature, so that Orange Street would dead end shorter. It dead ends there at and you go what's that forest, right?
Yeah, 4th Street over here.
one thing I think we're missing a decent amount of is the focus on retaining and attracting new businesses. So with some funds left over, I think we need to add some funds back to that for facade, for impact fee.
Well, Well, I don't. I mean, I looked at the data and how much money we actually spent on that. And we've spent just alone with those businesses. I'm not sure. Have you guys kind of got a chance to kind of see how much money we spent with these businesses? I mean, I don't. I mean, I'll go through it, but I definitely think before we put money back into for businesses, we should increase that amount for 305, because if you look at historically, kind of what businesses. I mean, let's pull it up. Let's look at it. So we can kind of go through it now. So a lot of these businesses are no longer in business. They sold the businesses. They've got probably over $30,000. I've seen a lot of these business owners, and they sold their business, so they actually profited from the CRA. So I don't think we should allocate the rest of the remaining funds
I'm not saying all by any means. No,
Yeah, so.
a small portion, and more so, I want to focus on facades. It's all about that intrinsic feel of as you're walking or driving or riding your bike, whatever it may be. It helps that. So that's more so kind of my focus. It's not to do. We've done a lot of air conditioning.
We did a lot of air conditionings. We've done a lot of upgrades in regards to increasing the value when it's on return for sale, not so much on increasing, like you said, the facade. So if we need to be really, really clear on if we put any more money to that facade.
And there's two different, or there's 3 different programs that we can make up. We can make a new program to focus it on just facade renovations or something along those lines, inclusive of windows and storefronts, things of that nature. But yeah, I totally agree. And again, by no means am I saying that whatever's left needs to do that. Increase the 305 number you said, and they're not mutually exclusive. We can do a little bit here, a little bit there.
So Bobby, you have any idea what we on the facades? What we in the last? I know I'm asking a pretty tough question for you.
Since I've been involved with the CRA since last summer, we've done a couple of facade grant programs here across. The average cost was about $2,500 that we gave back to some of these people. I think we got the one with Domino's Pizza's $5,800 for the painting of the building and some other stuff that they're doing, but the average cost has been about $2,500 that I've seen.
In total, what?
Oh, total maybe 25,000, 30. I don't know, just off the top of my head. In the past year,
I know.
yeah.
I know that's a
No. So in 2018, it was 35,000. In 2025, we spent $161,000 to businesses that in some form AC units. So we spent probably over like 300, 400, about almost $400,000.
Okay. Yeah. Within the past year, we haven't definitely.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money to businesses already.
Yeah.
So, and remember, over a period since 2017, we gave $1,000 to the residents.
So we have the details now for the Apopka Action Sports Amenity upgrades. For the pavilion, it was $83,712. The water fountain, $5,500. The picnic tables, $8,000. 2 rail fencing, $4,900, $4,978.89. ADA parking space, $10,000. The artificial turf, the $120,000, $386.50. And the bike repair station, $1,500.
I have a question. So the 88 parking space is 10,000 there, but the 88 parking space is 50,000. So is it going to be a larger?
Correct. We were only looking to put one space at the
One
skate
space.
park.
Okay. And then this
multiple
is
spaces at the
multiple spaces. Okay.
So which of those items
any
are
of those you want to add back, or
Yeah.
or you want to wipe them all out?
So it's 111,000 without a little over that 113,000 without the artificial turf.
So you can take out the artificial turf. It's about 114.
Okay. And what's that? If we did that, what would that?
Yep.
Where would that put us?
So take out the
Well,
artificial turf?
no, yeah, just so the one. Would you say the?
Okay, I'm just doing this here.
Yeah, yeah.
713. 5,500 is the new water fountain. 8,000 for the new picnic tables. The two fencing. That. ADA parking, 10,000. In the bike repair station, 1,500.
What was 83,000 for?
Excuse me?
The pavilion.
Oh, the
Yeah.
pavilion. Okay.
Cover, yeah.
So
Yeah.
what does that leave us? What does that?
That
That
leaves
line?
us 117.
Okay.
898.
I think we
We
should put
haven't talked about the downtown triangle property. I know he shared a map with you.
I don't think that's
I
a
don't think it's a
value add for us at
Okay.
this
I
point.
think we should probably put 100,000, increase that 305 to 405 for the residents.
Okay. Everybody in agreement with that? 400?
Well, I think we ought to leave at least something for the businesses,
So do you
not
want to
totally
add
give them a
for
zero.
the facades? You want
So
to put
probably
a
another,
specific?
maybe 30,000 for the businesses. I mean, they've definitely have taken. I mean, I'm sure you guys see they've definitely have taken advantage, and it's the same businesses that's taken advantage of it. So
I don't
we're
want to say
increasing
taking advantage of it. It's just not been promoted to the residents.
residents. Yeah, when I mean
We've failed the
when I say
residents.
taking advantage of, not in a negative way, but
They've been using
they've
it.
benefited
Got
from
it.
it. The
Understood.
residents have not
Yeah.
benefited from it.
So let's put. So we'll put what 30,000 in for facade as a. We've got the overall commercial, but we'll have another $30,000 additional for
The facade.
commercial facades.
Okay.
Right. No AC.
Correct.
Yeah, because they already have new ACs. They don't need any more.
Okay.
FRAP. And it's currently in the current year's budget. It was budgeted at $100,000.
How much have we spent, Bobby? Do you know?
No,
Not much.
nothing.
Nothing much.
If the 23,
So
I'll
we're
go back and show you just a minute. Facade.
Facade renovation assistance
so
program.
we're increasing a budget, and we haven't exhausted the current budget.
No.
We're
We'll
putting more money into
reallocate.
it?
We only
Okay.
to reallocate
Okay.
program
Okay.
because we're not.
So
The
difference-
spending was low.
Okay.
So then the difference, then we go.
87,000 left.
So you want to add that to this, so that get us up to right at 400.
400.
Okay. 87,898.
Member Drago, you've been very quiet here in the last 15 minutes, and so we got. Are you
Down to zero.
comfortable here where we are? Need your input.
Well,
27,000. See?
Mm.
Okay.
there's a when I managed the 5 CRAs, there's a management. I mean, there's a measurement tool known as a productivity rate, and a productivity rate is defined as the taxable value per acre. So, government property doesn't count toward the taxable value. So all these things that you've changed one way or the other, the question would be asked, would they increase the taxable value per acre of the CRA? And probably in some areas, yes, in some areas, no. Currently, this CRA's productivity rate is $433,000 per acre. If you allow some buildings to be demolished in the CRA and you put up a fast food restaurant, that productivity rate for the fast food restaurant is $618,000 per acre with no opportunity to increase its productivity rate. So you're pretty well frozen at the 618. So the question becomes, is where best to allocate the money, either on this list or some other list, in order to improve that productivity rate? That would be the first question. Obviously, one of the areas I think that that needs to be concentrated on, in my opinion, is I know Mr. Nesta made a comment that the city should be treated the same as the residents. So with that philosophy, that means all these properties that the city owns that are blighted should be removed. Because the city has no objection to going to a resident and citing them for their property being blighted, giving them code violations. Well, the city's not exempt from code violations. So the question becomes is this list that is here, there's only one where the blighted area is eliminated, and that's 8th Street and Highland. That's the old city property. Are there others? Yes, there's 2 vacant properties on 441. It's an old gas station, and next to it there's a VFW building with a storefront
Masonic
or
Lodge.
something.
Well, we're in the foreclosure process on the gas
So,
station.
but that's
Yep,
an
yep,
idea.
yep.
That's all right.
Yep.
So what you don't want is somebody come in and buy that property and put up a fast food restaurant, because now you've taken away the productivity rate of the CRA by eliminating those buildings. The only other thing I would add, Mr. Chair, is going back to Member Anderson's concerns about the process for the renovation of the houses. I would suggest that the CRA attorney have some time to develop 2 tracks. One track is if the resident says, I want the city's contractor to do it, and a second track is if I want my contractor to do it. So I think with his skill, knowledge, and ability, he should be able to draw those two parallels, and the residents get to choose. And knowing Mr. Shepherd, he's going to make sure that the city is protected legally with these contracts.
I like that.
Yep.
All right.
Great idea.
So I guess if we're good, I think what I'd like to do then is if we can go ahead and approve the budget, and then at the next council meeting, we'll take about 15 minutes. We're going to start at 6:30. We'll do another CRA meeting, knock out the agreements, and so we knock that out, and then go right into our normal 7:00 meeting. Does that sound like that work for everybody?
Yeah. Would you send us an updated,
Yes, ma'am.
updated?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool.
Because even what was here didn't include all that was on this list that was presented.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'll send it out.
Are we talking about the May 7th meeting?
I mean, May 7th. Yes, it's not next week.
That's
so
a
it's
day
2
meeting.
weeks. 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's a 1:30 meeting.
Right.
Oh, 1:30. So it'll be a 1 o'clock. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, we're back. Yeah. So it'll be at 1 o'clock. We'll have a CRA board meeting, 15 minutes, take a 15-minute break, and head right into the regular city council meeting. So
Before we approve this, are we able to just have residents come back up now that they see our numbers and how they're allocated, just to get one final, just comments on it? Yes, no, we love it, we hate it, we changed this, just so it helps to expedite that 1:30 or the 1 o'clock meeting next meeting as well.
the 1:30 meeting will only be about the process.
Well, I'd love to hear from the residents, because now that we've actually allocated these funds, I'd love to hear and get some specific feedback on their funds.
I'd like for us to consider between now and that May 6th meeting. We've allocated the $392,000 for the residents facade, and in the event that all those funds are not expended in a timely manner, we need time to spend those funds. So I'd like for us to consider a cutoff date as to when those funds need to have been allocated, so that we have time then to reallocate any funds that have not been spent, so we meet that October deadline.
So that'll be also for the not only the residents but also for the business owners as well.
Correct,
If they haven't,
yes.
so both
Right,
of those.
those two,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm.
So if
And that's by September 30th, right, Cliff? Because it has to be in the.
As currently proposed, we'll see about tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think we ought to do the last meeting in August, before the last meeting in August, because if we do it, we got to have enough time to figure out,
where to spend, yes.
yes. So
And get 'em
if
time.
we want to, then what?
Yes.
So we'll have a next CRA meeting will be the August, whatever,
The first one or the
Second one.
second one?
So it'll be
Second meeting in August.
hours. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
What
anyway,
day would it be? August.
I don't have my phone. Yeah.
20th.
20th.
Yeah,
August
20th.
would be the 20th.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right. So
All right. So
okay, with that, we look for a motion to approve the.
Can we hear from residents at all?
agenda.
Does anybody want to have a comment?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted one question, I guess, of procedure. Is it normally the city's policy if you're going to amend the budget to bring back the proper documents and in an ordinance form with the amended budget?
But basically, this is a reallocation. It's not changing the bottom line of the budget, so it's not resulting in an amendment. But we do want these projects to be approved by the CRA. We'll just do a budget transfer within the city budget.
So you allow internal transfers as long as the bottom line remains the same.
Correct.
So it just requires an approval.
Yes.
Okay.
Real quick, thank you for the opportunity to come up and speak again. The most of the things that not that I have to be in agreement with, because we all have to compromise, but in a certain way, I feel okay moving forward. What I will say is, when we look at the residents, it seems like the city attorney say our way is the best way to have pre-approved construction companies. Well, here when I came up about the CDB grant, we was going to rebuild a home for $238,000, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and a carport. When I came up and protested that, I wonder who did the vetting of that contract, who put that contract together, and then it turned out now we getting 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, but still I don't see no carporch. And so when you look around at the average construction, which I did a little investigation, you can build a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and a single car garage for about $170,000. So why would we allocate $238,000 to build a shack? But this is coming from the city. This is coming from the city vetting the contract and doing what's best for the city. But then you're going to criticize that the residents don't have the knowledge to make a educated decision for themselves. That's the part that I have a problem with. And going back to Alonzo William Park, the reason why we don't want to put electrical and water, why? Is it because I suggested it? When you go over the north side, you got damn near 50 of them out there. Beautifully designed and set up. The last time we had an event at Alonzo William Park, you look what the vendors had to set up at. No water, no electricity. It's shameful. And then when I bring it up, what you said, Mayor, we'll look into that. We'll look into that. So do the right thing. Put electrical out there, put water out there, so when the vendors come out there, they'll have some place to set up, just like we do on the north side. Thank you.
Excuse me. Bradley, I have a question. Do we have a quote for that, for the electric and water setup at Alonzo William Park?
No, we'd have to still work on that.
We're still working on it? Okay, so we're in the process of getting a bid on it now.
It's not out for bid right now.
Not for bid right now.
No.
Let's try to add that to this budget coming up in
FY26.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you, Leroy Bell, Ma Helen, if you remember the last time I came up, last CRA meeting, you guys are considered the advisory board. And it's also comprised of the decision that you're making. It say that it's the advisory board and 2 members of the community. And we sitting up here striking this, moving that, this, that. Where was any member of the community in that discussion? You just stood up there. Yes, Bradley just confirmed it. Oh yeah, yeah. We put sod in there, and we have put sprinkler system in there. If you remember, when I started my last comment, you came into office in 2018. Here it is, 2025, and they're just now getting sod and water up there. And still, to Sylvester's point, we don't have electricity up there. You're talking about this. Some of this stuff up here need to be strapped, and I say from 8 to 13 need to be strapped from up there. You need to put 2 residents out of this community on this advisory board. If you don't, no matter how far, how much you want to rush this to get into a deadline, all somebody have to do is complain to the CRA, and they'll strike everything.
Hi, Linda Ball, 73 West Orange Street. I live in the old Robinson house.
What's that?
I live in the old Robinson house.
Okay.
And until I sat where Member Drago sat, I had no clue about the CRA. My suggestion would be to have some sort of workshop for residents that are interested. Number one, that'll give you a possible number of how many are interested and would want the money. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, hi, my name is Kendra. So just going back to what she said, there is not a lot of information that's getting to the residents to know about the CRA. So some kind of pamphlet or mail-ins or something would help. And back to what they was talking about, the Alonzo Wisdom Park. I have been a vendor there for Juneteenth for the past, 3 years or so? And it is. We don't have no electrical and no water. So it's hard to do any business like setting up when we don't have any water or electrical. And I have been a vendor out there. So yeah, that would be that we need that out there at that part. That's all.
Thank you.
Rod Olson, Mayor, Commissioners, and John. Just 2 observations. One observation is the fact is, in the history, we have not spent the money because we didn't have the infrastructure or someone to bird dog this thing to make sure we deliver. And this is something that certainly by the legislation that may be going away or it's going to be limited, we need to make sure we stay on top of it and we're moving that along. The other thing is we have a big sales program. You can't tell me if you go to a resident and say, we have $10,000 that you can spend to improve your house. There, first of all, there's going to be a little discussion about, well, it's coming from the city. Is this good or not? We have to do a sales job to get out because we know there's hundreds of houses in the community that could use it. We have to go out and sell it personally. Sending a mailing half the time, something from the city, it's going to go out the window. And I'd be willing to serve and help any way I can. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve the adjusted CRA amended budget
Reallocated.
reallocation.
So
There you
moved.
go. Got a motion by Commissioner Anderson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. 7:52.